Welcome to this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind, produced by Souza Media, where we recap all the weekend's racing as part of the 75th anniversary season of the Action Track of the East. The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Seekonk Speedway and Souza Media. For more information on Souza Media, visit kylesouza.com. And for more information on Seekonk Speedway, visit seekonkspeedway.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast. We missed that music. We missed joining you here in the podcast series. It's been a busy couple of weeks at the Action Track of the East between racing we've completed and racing we've got coming up. We've got a lot to talk about on this episode of the Race Day Rewind. We're going to be joined by a couple of special guests, as we are in just about all of our podcast series episodes. Today we're going to chat with Dylan Estrella, a recent Pro Stock winner on NASCAR Saturday. We're also going to welcome in one other guest. I'm going to save that for a little bit later on. We've got a really cool story we're going to profile here as part of the podcast series. Let's go over what we're going to do here in the podcast, but I'll start by saying I am Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media. I'm sure many of you listening to the podcast know me by now, sitting here in the Souza Media headquarters as we are going to recap the racing from Saturday, August 21st and Friday, August 20th. That first weekend, 20th and 21st. Then we're going to recap the racing from the 27th and 28th of August, which will wrap the month of August for 2021. Then we're going to preview what's coming up as part of the rest of the season at the Action Track of the East. It's hard to believe we're down to the final 3 weeks of championship points racing. And then we will also be previewing what's coming up as the winter months start to come here over the podcast series here in the winter. We've got a lot of cool plans coming up for the winter months. But that's later. Let's start with right now as the Seekonk podcast series continues with race recaps. We're going to start with Friday, August 20th. If you've missed the action over the last couple of weeks, of course, we had our Labor Day Thrill Show, which took place on Saturday, September 4th. Thanks to everybody that came out for that. But I want to talk specifically about the racing that we haven't covered here in the podcast series. First up, Friday, August 20th, it was Phil's Propane weekend at the track. Both days, all of the races were Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series championship races. Big thanks to Phil's Propane and their team. So happy they were able to come down and join us on NASCAR Saturday on August 21st. And for those who don't know, the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series is a 3-race series in each of our divisions with an extra championship on the line. It's similar to NASCAR's championship points format with the chase, where the winner of the first race, the winner of the second race, and the 2 drivers that come up with the most points are the final 4. And then on the final 4 night, whoever finishes ahead of the other 3 picks up the Phil's Championship. So we had 2 nights of that, August 20, August 21. Let's start on Friday with the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. Sam Macedo picked up his 6th victory of the season in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandoleros Bandits. That was also his 6th win in a row. So a big congratulations to the Green Hornet. If you haven't been following his story, 6 wins in a row in the Bandolero Bandits, not an easy task for a youngster. His hair matches the color of his car. That's why they call him the Green Hornet. And he has been Hornet impressive here over the first couple of weeks of the season behind the wheel of that number 16. Struggled out of the gate the first 2 weeks, but since then, man, hard to believe this season's coming to an end, but Sam Macedo has proven to be the dominant force in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. He also picked up the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series Championship, so congratulations to him with the big victory on Friday, August 20th. In the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaw Division, Nick Chaber Jr. took the 0-0 back to victory lane, and while he did in the process, Nick Chaber Jr. picked up the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series Championship. A great accomplishment for him. Congratulations to Nick Chaber Jr., the winner of the race on August 20 and the Phil's champion. Hollywood, Adam Harrison finished 2nd, Steve Bowden was 3rd, Richie Helger and Chase Sylvia with a great run to round out the top 5 in the Outlaws. Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4 action, a first-time winner. We love to see it. Dave Simpson Jr. parks it in Everett's victory lane for the first time. The TTM Motorsports driver in the number 32. Congratulations to him on an awesome run in the Sport 4. It's been a long time coming for him to pocket a victory in that class. Second place was Tyler Duhanchik. Third was Mikey LaForte. Crystal Murray was 4th, and Carlin Levesque 5th. He had been coming off a win the week before. Triple Crown wise, it was Mikey Lafort picking up the Phil's Propane Championship. Another run for him in the championship round. Congratulations to Mikey for the Phil's title. Helger's South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks hit the track next for their 25-lap feature. And it was the old man, I called him in Victory Lane. We haven't seen him in the front in a while. Billy Schwannard gets the job done. Welcome back to Everett's Auto Parts Victory Lane for the driver of the number 8, a former multiple-time champion in the division, returns this year in style and parks it in Victory Circle. Congratulations to Billy Schwannard. Second was Jared Cadera, his best career run in the number 20. Jordan Threlfall, same thing for him. Best career finish, third place. Nice work for him. Timmy Ouellette finished in 4th. Easton Souza was 5th, and that means that Timmy Ouellette is the 2021 Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series champion in the Helgers South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks. And on to the Nick's Pit Stop Legends, the only other race on that night. Congratulations goes out to Josh Parsons, his first win of the year. Feel like it's been a while for Josh Parsons. Haven't seen him down there in Victory Lane. Was wondering if he was washed up. I joked with him after the race, but a great run by him. Also enough to win the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series championship on top of winning the race. So congratulations to Josh and welcome back to prime form. Second was Jacob Burns, Mason Tessier third, Jake Johnson was 4th, and 5th was Luke LeBron, opening his points lead a little bit more as the season starts to wind down. So there you have Friday, August 20th. Phil's night at the races was Saturday, August the 21st. A fantastic run on August 21st. 4 fantastic race events. Let's recap them for you and find out who won the Phil's titles. In the sport trucks, the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, Barry Shaw gets the job done with the feature win and the Phil's Propane title. So a 2 for 2 for Barry, the win and the Phil's title. He's also opened up a healthy lead in the track championship standings. Barry Shaw, your Phil's champion. Amy Arsenault was second over Lenny Guy, Mike Cavallero, and Mike Duar. In the Everett's Auto Parts late models, Vinny Renegado may have won the battle, picking up the win that night in the 30-lap feature, but it was Josh Hedges taking down the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series championship in the late models, returning this year. He's second in track points, and he's able to pick up the Phil's Propane Championship. Nice work by the guys on the 29 crew to win that title. Richie Murray finished third in that race. Hedges finished second in the 30-lap feature. That was enough to best the other drivers in the Phil's Championship chase on that night. In the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, Corey Fanning returned to Everett's Auto Parts Victory Lane, driving the Everett's Auto Parts machine for the first time this year. Congratulations to him. And, shockingly enough, the winner of the race wins the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series Championship. That's 2 in a row for Corey Fanning in the Phil's Propane Series. I believe that is his 3rd overall championship in the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series. So congratulations to Corey Fanning. I know it's been a little bit of a tough year behind the wheel of the number 11, but man, he came on strong in the last couple of weeks and picks up a phenomenal win in the race to become the Phil's champion. Second place went to Chad Baxter. We hear that name a lot this year. Chad's been in Victory Lane so many times in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. And on that night, second place, not quite enough to win the Phil's championship, but cementing himself as the favorite for the track championship. Ryan Lynham was also on the top 5 and 4th, returning there after he returned to the Sportsman earlier this year. Nice to see Flying Ryan back in the street stock division, and a nice solid 4th place finish on that night for him. And then the Pro Stocks. The best way to describe the Pro Stock race on this night was weird. And it really just was weird. I mean, this Pro Stock feature was one of the most awkward races I think we've seen in a long time. I don't know why. And I still haven't figured out why as the season goes along. But in the end, it was weird. And you're asking me, you're probably thinking to yourself, why was it weird? It was weird because of the challengers at the front. The guys that couldn't make their way through the field, that have been making their way through the field all year. Weird stuff. What was not weird was Bobby Pellin returning to Pro Stock Victory Lane. What an incredible run for Bobby Pellin on this night. Brand new tires to start the race, and man did they pay off in his advantage. The driver of the number 12, a former late model champion, hadn't won a Pro Stock race since back in, I believe it was 2018. Bobby gets the job done in the Pro Stocks to pick up the win. Ryan Kuhn finished second, tying his best finish of the season in the Everett's Auto Parts 72. That was enough to give Ryan the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series Championship. Congratulations to Ryan Kuhn, driver of the Everett's Auto Parts, number 72. He is your Pro Stock Phil's Propane champion. He took that away from Dave Darling. Dave Darling did not win that this year. Tom Scully Jr. was third in that race behind Pellin and Kuhn. Ryan Lanham fourth, and Dick Benoit with a fantastic run for him, rounding out the top five. Great job to those guys to finish fifth. Dave Darling was sixth in that race. So there you have your recaps from Phil's weekend, August 20th and 21. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to move on to August 27th and 28th as part of Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday, recapping all the action before we get to our guests for this edition. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to the show after a quick break. Thanks for sticking with us around the turn here as we recap some of the racing action to close the month of August. Want to mention a couple things. Had a couple people ask me a couple questions here as part of the podcast series over the last couple years. Figure it's probably time to tell you what's going on. First, there's some water running in the background. A couple of you have asked me, what the heck is that water that's running in the background of the podcast? That's a turtle tank behind me. There is a turtle named Ken. He's hanging out behind me here. So there's the water situation. There was something else I was going to mention. I don't know what it was. So anyway, let's move on to the recaps from August 27th and 28th. Again, we've just completed Phil's weekend. Want to mention that there will be a separate podcast for the Phil's Propane Champions only. We'll get to that here in the next couple of weeks. August 27th, NASCAR edition coming the night after, but the first night of the weekend as part of a doubleheader was Fast Friday. And here we go with our recaps. 7 wins in a row for Sam Macedo in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. What an impressive run for this driver to win 7 races in a row. We've now figured out that there's only one driver to accomplish this goal in Seekonk Speedway history based on available record, and that's Nick Wascola. He did it in the Nick's Pit Stop Legends. We believe that he won 8 races in the Nick's Pit Stop Legend cars in a consecutive season. Might have even been 9. But a really impressive job by Sam Macedo to pick up all these victories in a row in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. 7 on the year now for him. They've all come consecutively. He's going to try to make it 8 coming up in our next event on September 10th. But Sam Macedo, 7 wins in a row. Mike Hannafin finished second in this race. A very impressive run by him. Colin Van Ness finished in the 3rd spot in the number 78. Man, it's been a while since we've seen Colin Van Ness on the podium. He had a tough year with a lot of wrecks, but a nice job by him. Happy to see him back on that podium form in the number 78. So Van Ness in 3rd. Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws were next on the track that night. This could be the race in the championship standings that we look back at and say, yep, that was the one that cost Richie Helger Jr. the championship. An unfortunate situation for him. He was running inside the top 5, got involved in a wreck late, finishes last. He was the points leader. He's not anymore. I'll get to the points later. But the driver that took it over was your winner. 2nd win in a row for Nick Chaber Jr., taking advantage. Adam Harrison finished 2nd for the 2nd week in a row. Brantley Strickland, nice run for 3rd. Andrew Gomes, great run for him for 4th. And Jace Mungen returned to the podium that night in 5th. Mikey LaForte was back in Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4 victory lane 1 week after clinching the Phil's Propane Championship. LaForte wins it over Crystal Murray and Jaden Hamilton, getting to the podium for the first time. Very impressive stuff from Jaden to get there for the first time. Now, Crystal Murray leads the championship with 3 weeks to go, but stay tuned later for why she's not going to be the champion this year. I'm not making a prediction, I'm making a promise, and there's a reason behind that. Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks were next on the track. Congratulations to Ethan Souza, parking it in Everett's Auto Parts victory lane for the first time. He started racing, I would say, 5 to 6 weeks ago for the first time in his career, and man, has he picked up speed so quickly behind the wheel of the Helger South Coast Power Equipment at number 30, Pure Stock. Ethan Souza gets the job done for the first time in his career. 2nd place, Jared Cadera. Again, 2nd place. I just talked about the week before that he finished in the runner-up spot. He does it once again behind the wheel of the number 20. 3rd place to Greg Perry. That allowed Greg Perry to open up his championship lead as the season starts to wind down. Again, I'll get to the points later. But, man, there's a lot to talk about as far as the points go here in 2021. Well, Nick's Pit Stop Legend cars were next up on the track. A very impressive run behind the wheel of the number 4 for Smilin' Reese Bogue. almost wins his first career in the Knicks Pit Stop Legend Cars. A very, very impressive run behind the wheel of the number 4, but in the end it was Luke Lebrun storming to the front to take down another win. Brandon Hammond finished third. Bogue was able to take second. Brandon back on the podium for the first time in a while. In the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, it was P. Bruins night at the track as we transitioned to NASCAR Saturday. Big thanks to the guys from the P. Bruins. And picking up the Chaz Auto Body Sport Truck win August 28th, Darrell Church gets back to winning form. Brand new truck for him. Came in the middle of the season, and it's paying off very well for the driver of the number 4. Darrell Church gets the victory lane. Wendy Guy second, and Mike Cavallero finished in third. The Everett's Auto Parts late models back on track for 30 laps on August 28th, and back to victory lane, 7-time champion Jerry DeCaspari Jr. back in prime form. He's not where he wants to be in the points battle, but nice to get back to Everett's Auto Parts victory lane for Jerry DeCaspari. Congratulations to the driver of the 71. Chase Belcher was second. Man, has he come on strong of late in the late models, and Ryan Soulier finished in third. Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman was back on the track. First time winner alert. I love the first time winners. Congratulations to first time Sportsman winner Scotty Sirodinsky Jr. What an impressive run for Scotty behind the wheel of the number 22. He struggled at times this year, but man, did Scotty Sirodinsky put himself back in prime form to pick up his first career Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman win. Great run for him. Congratulations on the number 22 getting to victory lane. Chad Baxter was back on the podium, and so was Ryan Lynham, who we talked about a little bit ago. He's got 2 straight podiums here. Actually, I think he finished, my apologies, he finished 4th the week before. So not a podium the week before, but he did get a podium this week. Solid top 3 finish for the driver of the number 19. I expect to see Ryan Lynham in victory lane soon. It may even be before the 75th season of racing comes to a close. And in the pro stocks, welcome back to victory lane to Dylan Estrella. No, he is not washed up. Some of you said he was washed up. Maybe I was the only one that joked with him about that. I'm not sure. But congratulations to Dylan Estrella. Getting back to Everett's Auto Parts victory lane in the Everett's Auto Parts number 46. Big congratulations goes out to that entire team for returning to prime form in the Everett's Auto Parts number 46. He wins the 40-lap Pro Stock feature over Dave Darling. What a shocker there. Dave Darling coming home second. A great run for Dave Darling. 2 weeks to go in the Pro Stock Championship fight. Darling is the man. We'll get to that in a little bit of a later segment. For now, though, there's your recaps from August 27th and 28th. We are going to take one more break here in the podcast series. Then we're going to start welcoming in our couple of guests here as part of the podcast series. 2 special guests going to join us. One of them is Dylan Estrella, so we'll check in with him here in a little bit. That second guest I'm keeping a secret because it's a really cool story, and you're going to want to stick around to hear that one. Stick with us on the Race Day Rewind podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. As our first guest of this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind podcast has come out of the driver's seat and joined us here on the hotline. That is Dylan Estrella, driver of the Everett's Auto Parts number 46 Pro Stock. I almost said 43, but it is 46. Former late model champion, and back in 2019, a multiple-time Pro Stock winner. He struggled at the beginning of 2021. Of course, we had COVID last year. We didn't have any Saturday night racing, but Dylan Estrella back in Pro Stock victory lane for the first time this year. Dylan, take me through that moment, you know, holding off Dave Darling there at the end of the race, and then carrying the checkered flag around the track for the first time in a couple years. Is it really sunk in here, as we're already getting ready for the next race, but is it sunk in yet that you were able to get back there?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely sunk in, but it's definitely one of those things too. When you see the 52 clear the guy in second, and you're like, oh, here we go. How many laps till he gets me?
Yeah.
But definitely fortunate to have a good car that night. My guys absolutely killed it and took home the victory.
Well, I mean, it's like we said, it's been a tough start to the year. You've struggled with the handling a little bit. You've struggled with some mechanical failures, some accidents that you didn't cause. You struggled with a lot of different things. So I joked with you that night in victory lane, and I joked here in an earlier segment that some of us thought you were washed up. But I mean, in all intents and purposes, and in all honesty, what was that like to suffer through this year? I feel like this has probably been one of the lower moments in your racing career. Obviously, it's fantastic that you were able to turn it around here and get back to victory lane. But take me back to, say, June, July. What has this been like to get through the summer?
It's definitely been a long season. It's definitely not anyone on my team or anything like that. I mean, my guys absolutely bust their butts. My dad and Jim, they practically live at the shop, and that's all they talk about is race cars and how to make it faster. Definitely, obviously struggled in the beginning of the year, and then kind of after a month or so, I kind of talked them into trying some other things that just unfortunately didn't work out. Um, and then we went to the wizard, Jimmy Kuhn, and see what he had to say and help us out. And he came down to the shop and helped us out. We've been pretty good ever since, just kind of little tweaks here and there, and hopefully just get a little bit faster than we already are.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned Jimmy Kuhn. I know he helped out Chase Belcher here to get his car set up in the late model division, and he's been one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car here over the last couple weeks. And speaking of Chase Belcher, you also spot for him in the Everett's Auto Parts late model, former late model champion. What's that like to go out there and spot for him and kind of see things from a different perspective?
I enjoy it. I actually get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I'm very fortunate that Chase trusts me and he lets me do that. It's definitely a different side of things, but at the same time, I think it's good, not only just speaking for me, but for other drivers to get someone that's been behind the wheel to actually spot for them. It's a totally different ballgame, I feel like. You know situations a little bit more than others. And coming from that division with some of the drivers still there that I raced against, I kind of remember some of the things they do and don't do. So that definitely helps. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, if I ever stop racing, I think I would definitely love to pick that up. And I enjoy helping Chase, and we just have a good chemistry together. And it's fun to go out there and see him perform so well.
Yeah, both of these guys in the Everett's Auto Parts camp. Speaking of Everett's Auto Parts, I know there's a lot of people that are behind this effort, and a lot of people that have stuck behind you. You mentioned your dad, your crew, but who are those people that have kind of stuck behind you here and gotten through this year with you, and obviously happy to celebrate with them in Victory Lane?
Yeah, definitely, obviously, a big thank you to Everett's Auto Parts, Roy and Bob, Everett's Tire Center, JNR Precast, where we keep the car. A big thank you to Junior for letting us house it there. My dad, Jim, Mike, Matt, obviously my mom, my sister, my fiance, all the fans that come out. Well, obviously it's been a tough year for us. Definitely a struggle mentally for me, but hopefully we'll see at the end of the year where we go from here, and hopefully it's upwards.
Well, Dylan's getting ready for 75 laps this week. The American Racer Pro Stock 75 coming up. $2,000 to win. Dylan, thanks for a few minutes. Appreciate it, and maybe we'll chat with you again here. See if you can go back-to-back this week in a special event.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, that's been Dylan Estrella. We're going to take a quick break and then welcome in our second guest of this week's edition of the podcast. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. Thanks to Dylan Estrella for joining us here in the last segment to talk about his Pro Stock win a couple of weeks ago. Let's chat with another driver. Captain Fun, Craig Pianka, joins us here in the podcast for the first time this year. And he's joining us for a couple of reasons. First, he won a couple weeks ago. We're going to chat with him about that and talk with him about how his race season's going here so far in 2021 as we head to the final 3 weeks. We also want to talk to him about a special night we had back on Phil's Propane Night on August 21st and talk about what went on that night. I'll get to that in a minute. But Craig, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about the race season first. Picked up a win not too long ago. Car's been good. You've been consistent all year. It's really been Chad Baxter, Corey Fanning, you, and maybe one or two other guys that have been top 5 or 6 here most of the year. So kind of walk me through what it's been like so far in 2021 from the driver's seat.
Well, Kyle, thanks for having me here. And it's been quite the challenge. Every year you go in with anticipation of doing well. I like to win, and that's it. My goal is a championship, number one. And things pop up, things happen, and you just don't end up having that season. But overall, it's been quite the season, and I got to say I'm pretty proud of Chad here. He really is doing well.
Yeah, Chad Baxter's been more than dominant, I think, in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. So you get to Victory Lane a couple of weeks ago. Always good to get back there. You mentioned the championship, probably not in the realm of possibility here this year. But for those who don't know, you took a week off it was 2019, more than a week. You took the rest of the season off there, kind of reset yourself. Did you change the car, or was that just kind of hey, I need a break for a little bit and I'll be back, and then COVID hit, and then you're back here in 2021?
Yeah, that ended up being quite the vacation from racing. At the time when I left, it was what I needed to do with my business and personally. It wasn't fun. You got to make sure you're having fun at this. And it really wasn't having fun then. And I was frustrated. and I try to be a clean driver, and I don't want to be someone that's frustrated out there because then you do stupid things.
Yeah.
So it was what was best for me. I felt bad. I really wanted to finish the season, but talked to my crew chief, and that's what we did. The time that we had off, yeah, we did some things to it. My chassis guy did a couple things, a little bit here and there, nothing major. We just came back with a fresh attitude and wanting to race and wanting to be in it again with my head more clear. We just had a better season.
Yeah, things have gone pretty well for you. I want to talk about a cool story here with you in a second, but before we do that, who's the people that help you out? You mentioned your crew chief. I know that you have one of the smaller crews in the Sportsman pit
Yes.
area, I think, but that's still, with the speed you guys have, it seems like it works really well, the partnership you guys have with the group of guys you have.
Yeah, Andrew Kuhn is he's just stellar. He really is the brains behind it all. I listen to everything he tells me to do. I got my good friend and neighbor Paul Silver who helps me in the garage. He helps me get a lot of stuff done in the shop itself. He doesn't go to the races, or if he does, it's very rare. At the track, to admit honestly, I have a lot of guys that just come in and help when it's time for pitting and stuff. So it's AK and pretty much next man up, and there's a few of them that help me. So, then obviously there's my backbone, which is my wife, Jill Pianka, and she really, really makes it easier for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and of course, without that support system behind you, none of this would be possible. So I mentioned Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series night. It was a big night. Obviously, the finale of the Triple Crown. You got a normal 25 lap race. You want to run well. This was a big night for you outside, and a big night for us as well. For those who don't know, Craig had a new friend that he's made here, 26-year-old Blaine Grennan. And Blaine is the oldest known survivor of Menkes disease, which is a neurodegenerative disease. It affects the copper imbalance in the body, gets worse over time. It can cause seizures, unstable body temperature. Really not a good thing to be going through. And Blaine, as I mentioned, is the oldest known survivor of this disease. He came out on this night, hung out in the stands, had a blast, waved the green flag for Craig's feature in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. And I talk about it in the podcast here all the time. There's certain moments in racing that go further beyond the track, further beyond the race cars, further beyond who won the championships. This is one of those moments, Craig, and you were, happy enough to have him at the track that night. He waved the green flag. I know he had a blast doing that. The pictures are great memories. But talk to us a little bit about how this came up, how you got to know him, and how excited you were to see him at the track.
The first thing I want to say, touch on what you said a second ago. I love more than anything helping people and making people's day. And Seekonk Speedway, you ask them, they're there. They're a family. You talk about that, you hear about that. It's the truth. When I dropped a call to a couple people to say, hey, Ed St. Germain and David and everything, they're like, yeah, what do you need? What do you want to do? And it made Blaine's day. Blaine's a warrior. He's a hero of mine. He's half my age exactly, and he's a hero of mine. I met him through I know him, I should say, through his mom, and she went to high school with me years ago. Obviously, her name's Marianne Grimes. She I saw what was going on Facebook with him and how he's doing this trial basis, which is really stepping it up for the world, is what he's doing, because he's the first one to step up and say, yeah, I'll do this. And the fact that he's 26 years old, he can tell them how he's feeling. Most kids are infants when they're giving stuff on this, when they realize that they have Menkes, to try and curb the situation as fast as possible. So he did so well with this that it actually helped out several infant children across the world, one in Japan and one in the States. They were giving 2-week-old children the same medication that he is voluntarily taking to see how it will work out. And it's worked out fantastic.
Wow. So this is, again, one of those moments that goes well beyond racing, well beyond the driver's seat, and I'm sure for Craig as well. Once that helmet goes on, it's a whole new ball game. Obviously, you want to go out there and win. But for Craig to do this and bring Blaine to our attention here and have him come to the track is a really cool deal. It happens a lot, but it also doesn't happen a lot. We don't have situations like this that come up all the time, but they do come up once in a while. And Craig, I know you're a guy that does a lot of stuff outside of racing too. We were just chatting before we jumped on the podcast about a vacation you recently took. But what does it mean to you? I mean, I know you say you like to help people, and I know that you're that type of guy, but what does this mean racing in general to you outside of just racing? This is truly, with your crew, all the competitors, and even the competitors you race with, I think are part of your family, a little bit of an extended family at least.
Yes, it's the truth. We get along for the most part. I mean, there's always a rough nights. You're going to have it when you're doing, 90 miles an hour down a straightaway turning left. But overall, I mean, like Steve Axon's been nothing but a great friend of mine now, and he's helped me get through all of this. And I can't believe how well he does. And he just shows up in races like it's nothing. But touching base back on the whole Blaine Grennan thing, I just like we can do this, and it makes me feel so good that this platform that I'm lucky to have, thank you Vendetti's here. It feels good to do all this for people like this. His mother, she messaged me literally at 12:30 at night that night, telling me that he was so excited. He is such a race fan now, and he told her that it was more fun than meeting Gronk. He had a better time
Wow.
meeting me and do what I did than he did meeting Gronk. I mean, 'cause this guy's he's world known. Like everybody in the world knows this kid because of what he's done. And when you get a message 12:30 at night saying that he had more fun meeting, me than Gronk, I'm like, oh my god, this is I nailed it this time, and it's awesome. It's just truly awesome.
Wow. So what a cool story here. I introduced this a little bit in one of the other segments, saying we had a cool story to tell you, race fans. And again, outside of the racing, yeah, we got some great racing this year. We're down to the final couple weeks of the season. It's been a great year. We're so happy to be back after COVID. Everything's back kind of in form here. But stories like this are why we do this podcast, to get this out there to you. So we appreciate all the listeners. And we appreciate Mr. Captain Fun here for taking a few minutes to join us on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. Craig, thank you very much. You got 3 races to go, and I'm sure you're going to be trying to get 3 victories, right, in the Sportsman?
I got 3 bottles of champagne in my garage, and I'm hoping to drink all 3 of them. I doubt it's going to happen with Chad being in the up front here, but I'm going for it. That's the main goal.
Well, Craig's going to be joining us once again here, of course, on Saturday night, September 11th. Another special night, First Responders Night at the track, as we remember those lost in 9/11. I'll get to that in the next segment, though. For now, take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's coming up here in the next couple weeks. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to the show, our final segment. Thanks to our 2 guests for joining us. Great insight from them on what's going on, and again, a great story there as part of the podcast series. 3 races to go in our championship battles. I want to profile that here as part of the Race Day Rewind as we wrap this edition of the show. Also, though, do want to mention that on Wednesday, August 25th, we did conclude the Open Wheel Wednesday, the $10,000 to win 16th annual Modified Madness 100-lap feature. I have not recapped that. I'm going to do that quickly for you if you missed it. Matt Hirschman picked up his 4th win in Open Wheel Wednesday. He's won that race 4 times. He's won $10,000 4 times. 40 grand he's come and picked up from Seekonk in his career, on top of all the other races he's run just in Open Wheel Wednesday. Another $10,000 to win race. It was $10,600 he pocketed for the win for Matt Hirschman. Congratulations. Of course, this race scheduled in June, postponed until August due to a power outage. Hirschman wins the Modified Madness race for the Tri-Track Series. Paul Scally won the NEMA Light race. Congratulations to him. And Jeffrey Battle won the debut of the 350 Smack Super Modifieds at Seekonk on that night. So great job by all of those guys. Point battles. We've got 3 weekends to go. First up this weekend, September 10th and 11th. Then we will run on September 17th and 18th. And then September 24, 25, we'll wrap our point season. Let's give you a profile of the points just so you know where we're at. Dave Darling leads the Pro Stock standings. They only have 2 races to go, September 11th and September 18th. The reason behind that is because the past Pro Stocks will be on hand on September 25th for the DAV Fall Classic, so the Pro Stock drivers can run with pass, but it's not going to be a points race. So September 18th is the final final Pro Stock race for the Seekonk points. Dave Darling leads these standings by 32 over Ryan Kuhn. He may seal it up on September 11th. This is going to be a marquee moment. Dave Darling is going to be your Pro Stock champion, and I know for some people out there, yeah, big deal, he wins it again. It's a big deal historically. 8 championships Dave Darling is going to win when he accomplishes this goal here in the next couple weeks. A big story there to win his 8th championship. He will become the only driver in track history to accomplish that goal. So a big congratulations goes out to him. We'll profile him a little bit more here as the season winds down. Ryan Kuhn is second in points. He's going to finish second, barring a crazy event. Rick Martin's third. He's going to finish third, barring a crazy event. So Darwin, Kuhn, and Martin are probably going to be your Pro Stock top 3 in the championship. Great job by those guys. They've got 2 races left, September 11th and 18th. Late models is a little bit closer and a little bit of the unknown still in the Everett's Auto Parts late models as their season starts to wind down. Vinny Renegado, 580 points. He leads Josh Hedges by 24 points as the season begins to come to a close. That's 12 positions on the racetrack in 3 weeks. That means if Josh beat him by 5 spots one week, 4 another, and 4 another, he'd be ahead. Not an easy task. Vinny's been really strong. Going to come down to the wire, though, between Vinny and Josh. Jerry DeCaspari is 12 back of Josh, and by my rough math, that means he's 36 out of the lead. It's a little bit of a stretch, but possible. One mistake by a Renegado, this is going to be a real intense battle here going to the final couple of weeks. In the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, not really a battle. Chad Baxter leads by 42 points over Corey Fanning. Couple solid weeks, and Chad Baxter is going to be a first-time Seekonk champion in the Richard Sprague Prepared number 0. In the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, Barry Shaw, same type of thing. Couple solid runs for Barry Shaw. He's going to be your 2021 Chaz Auto Body Sport Truck champion. Barry leads this division by, 36 points here as we head to the final 3 weeks. It's going to take a lot for somebody to beat him, but you never know. Mike Cavallero is second, 36 back. And 40 points out is Amy Arsenal. She's going to win the Rookie of the Year. But again, you never know. Barry Shaw stumbles once. These guys are right in it, and girls. And Amy Arsenal's done a great job. Third in points. She's going to try to get second away from Mike Cavallero. She's only 4 behind him. On Fast Friday in the Nick's Pit Stop Legends, Luke LeBrun has run away with the Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars Championships. If you count up his wins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 points races. Luke LeBrun has won. Great season for him in the number 88 machine, the Hedges Excavating ride. Luke LeBrun, going to be your champion in the Legends, barring a miracle here. Mason Tessier is second. He is some 26, 36, 46, 50, 60, some 38 points back. It's going to take a little bit of a help if Luke LeBrun is not going to win this championship. Tessier is going to have to pull off a little bit of an accomplishment to be able to close the gap on him. But again, as I say it in the other divisions, you never know what's going to happen in the final 3 weeks. But Luke LeBrun in control of the Nick's Pit Stop Legends, looking for the championship. Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, I mentioned it earlier, but Greg Perry has been very consistent. And the former champion in the Pure Stocks leads the title battle as we head to the final 3 weeks. Greg Perry ahead by 20, though, over Danny Massa. It's close. That's only 10 spots on the track. It's 2 points per position. So Greg Perry got his work cut out for him, but he's got a good spot right now, at least in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks. Massa is 20 behind, as I mentioned, in second. Joey Morissette further behind in third, 36 points behind. Going to need some help if he wants to win. The Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4, as I mentioned earlier, Crystal Murray. She leads by 18 over Michael Ford, but she's not going to win the title this year, and it's actually a little bit disappointing, but also exciting for her. Her education is taking her out way across the country, and I'm going to sit here and look up exactly where she went because it's far away across the country. I need to figure out exactly where it was so I can tell you. She's going there for school, which means that she's not going to be back here over the final 3 weeks of the season. She's going to miss the final 3 races, and that's going to unfortunately take the championship away from her. She had a great year and was in pretty good spot, 18 points ahead heading for the final 3 weeks, but she's not going to make it to the final couple of races, unfortunately. Good luck to her, first of all, out at school. That's a big accomplishment. She's heading to Glacier Park, which is somewhere across the country. I want to say Wisconsin? Montana? I'm not sure. But it's far away. She's not going to make the final 3 races. Tough break for her, but wish her the best of luck in her school. That's going to hand the lead in the championship battle to Mike Eagle Ford as he looks for another championship this year. He is going to lead second place Carlin Levesque by 32 points. And again, if there's a couple rainouts here at the end of the year, Crystal Murray could still be in a shot for a top 3. But as it looks right now, she's not going to be. So Crystal Murray going to inherit the second spot in the championship indirectly. But it's going to be Mike Eagle Ford behind the wheel of the number 13, who's going to pick up the points lead in the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4s. Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws, Nick Chaber Jr. leads Richie Helger Jr. by 10 points. That's it. Just 10 points for Nick Chaber Jr. over Richie Helger. I mentioned Helger wrecked the last time out. He's going to look to rebound this week. That's only 5 positions on the track one of our tightest battles across all of our divisions in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws. Look forward to seeing how these youth competitors wrap up their season. And in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits, Darren Krantz, 14 points ahead of Samuel Macedo. Man, this is close. It's closer than we thought it would be. Darren Krantz had a DNF the last time out. That's closed things right up. We'll see how it goes as the season winds down. But right now, Macedo is 14 back of Krantz. That's it for the Bandolero Bandits. The spectator drag points are also coming down to the wire. John Fielding leads the Tri-City Tactical spectator points over Franz Weininger. And I'm not exactly sure when their next battle is. I believe the spectator drags are back on the track on 9/18, September the 18th. So look forward to seeing them back next week as well. Coming up this weekend, Friday, September 10th, Fast Friday returns to prime form with 5 divisions strong. And on NASCAR Saturday, September 11th, we'll honor those lost in the 9/11 attacks in New York City with a very special night. 9/11 Remembrance Night. It's First Responders Night at the track. It's also Scout Night at the track. Great to see the Scouts coming out again in 2021. The Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Cub Scouts. Great to see them coming back as part of NASCAR Saturday. We'll go back to work the week later, September 17th and 18th, and then September 24th and 25th. Our champions are officially crowned in the 75th season at Seekonk Speedway. Thanks for joining us as part of the Race Day Rewind podcast. Again, my name is Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media. Thanks to our guests for joining us. Dylan Estrella is not washed up. Remember that. He's back in the Pro Stock division. I want to thank Ed St. Germain behind the computer, pushing all the buttons to put this together and get it out to you, the race fans. Thanks to him, all of our guests from the whole year, and our sponsors that make this possible as part of the Race Day Rewind podcast series. Again, stay tuned for a Triple Crown Champion podcast that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And we'll be recapping all the racing over the course of the final weeks of the 2021 season. For now, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you at the track.